So we're on this journey to better ourselves, to grow ourselves, to be better so that we can give the best of ourselves. So I got to ask the hard question. And here's a question that this is a hard question. Who are the people around you that are influencing your life? And are they positive or are they negative? And this is a huge, huge question because you're going to get to a point when you start looking around as you're doing personal growth, as you're starting to achieve success, personal success, and you're going to start looking around and going, who are the people that are influencing me? Who are the people in my sphere of influence here? And are they helping me or are they holding me back and keeping me down? And this is such a deep issue with so many folks because they don't want to go beyond their influence around them and they stay flat. They never grow. They never achieve more because they never break free from that influence. And so a couple years ago, I was working with in a situation. I was around a group of people, and even though they spoke highly and always had aspirations and goals, and they always had these great things that they wanted to do, they never did them. They never did the work necessary to achieve those things. And what they started doing is they started coming up with, well, I didn't achieve this goal because of this excuse, or I didn't do this because of this reason. And I started to realize that I was starting to make more and more excuses for the things I wasn't doing. And I was making more and more excuses for the goals that I wasn't achieving. And I started to realize that this influence around me, this group of people who were good people. They weren't horrible people. They weren't going, "Hey man, come on, take some of this." They weren't that type people. They were actually good people, but they didn't have the same desire for success in their life to make the changes necessary. And that was starting to influence me. And I was not making the changes necessary for the success in my life. And I started to become like everyone else. Where's my excuse? I got to have an excuse for this. Why isn't this working? Why isn't this happening? And it wasn't until I started realizing that I need to break free of that. I started reading some things and I started getting involved with some other people who were more success driven. And it's not success in they were making millions of dollars, because none of them were making millions of dollars. They were just being more fulfilled in the things that they were doing, and they were having success in those things. So I started to take notice. What was it? Well, one of the things is they stopped offering up excuses every time they failed. They took ownership and said, I didn't achieve this because I didn't do XYZ. They started to realize that, or they started to talk about how they were letting positive influences in their life, things that were pushing them forward to achieve goals, and I wasn't. I wasn't reading books or reading articles to help me achieve better. I was just doing what I was doing and thinking that was okay. So there's a line that you have to draw. There's a situation where you have to go, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to live at this level anymore. So I've got to move beyond that, which means I might need to stop hanging out with this group of people that much. I need to maybe change the ones who are influencing me from this group to this group so that I can start being successful and achieving my goals. I need to stop listening to this music and start listening to this that will be more positive. I need to stop reading these books and start reading these books and applying them to my life. I need to stop watching these movies and start spending more time reading the books, if you know what I mean. The decisions that have to be made to be successful and for personal growth, there's a line, there's a moment when you stop talking about it and you stop going, well, I would love to do this, I want to set this goal, and then you actually start doing it. And usually that line is, it's that influence of people around you, and you're going to have to change that. You know, one of my gurus right now that I follow is John Maxwell. Love John Maxwell. Amazing man. Life history, amazing books and stuff. And one of the things that he says is that you need to see what successful people are doing and then follow them. You don't follow them as in you repeat everything they're doing, but you learn from the things that they're doing and then you apply them to your life. You mimic, you apply different principles. You don't do exactly what they did, because what they did, you can't exactly do, because that's them. That's who they were. That's what they came up with. You need to come up with what you and works for you. But the principles that they followed, you can start applying to your life. Brass tacks of it is you have to make a change. And sometimes you're going to have to make some serious cuts. And it's not just in the things you're doing, as in, I need to get up earlier, or I need to spend more time doing this or less time doing that. It might be the people that are influencing you the most. You might have to say, you know what? I'm not going to spend that much time around you because you aren't helping me. You're not pushing me forward. That's a hard decision. And that is a growth principle. That is a hard growth principle. So it's the hard question that I want to pose to you today as we're traveling this journey of personal growth and learning how to become personally successful. All right, guys, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear in the comments your stories. Were there things that you noticed in your journey that you had to change, you had to do differently? And some of that was the people that you hung out with. Some of that was the people that you were allowing to speak into your life, and you had to make that change and cut them out of your life. I'd love to hear those stories. And if you're seeing that around you, I'd love for you to share, and maybe we can encourage you and as a community and help you move past that. Guys, I love y'all. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff that I always say. But ultimately, I want you to be better so that you can give better of yourself. And maybe you can go away, have your journey, and come back and then help those people when you're stronger. That might be what's your goal for the future, and it might be your path. So love y'all, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.